observe our infuser for a sec. And quest completed. Not actually sure what that did. Learn about your infuser. Oh, there's a whole quest line over here. I was gonna say, where did... Oh, there's the spiders. Oh, it's finally happening. The final egg is hatching, and what do we get? It's cracking. It's a Badoo! Hello everyone, Hamas28 here, and today we're back in the world of Skyblock Ghosts. So as you can see, the main platform has gotten a little bit bigger. I did play a little bit off camera, but I really didn't do too much. I just added a couple more of our apricorn trees so I could get more building materials. I also found some tomatoes along with some beetroot seeds from the autishes that finally spawned from our tall grass, and our drift bloom is now a drift blimp. That's what happens when you have one Pokemon do all the fighting. Now, I was going through the tips and tricks book, trying to figure out stuff to do to make the progression go a little bit faster, and in doing so, was also learning a little bit about how to get the different Pokemons to spawn. Now, the main thing I've learned is that if I want more spawns, I pretty much just have to build larger habitats for these guys. So you can see Geodude should always be easy to get because we have a Geodude spawner here, but all the other Pokemon, it's going to be a lot slower because I just need bigger platforms for them to have room to spawn on, and then you have to be nearby, which is really the hardest part. So something I did build in between episodes, we can come down here. We have a new platform for the bottom tier Pokemon. Well, not bottom tier, the bottom layer Pokemon from the vertical Pokédex, as you can see down here. But we only have two platforms, which only account for Deep Dark Indoor, and where is the other one? I think it's this one. Yeah, Deep Dark Man-Made. So the Deep Dark Man-Mades all spawn over here, and the Deep Dark Indoor are over here. But it mostly seems like Deep Dark Indoor have been unknowns. I haven't really seen too many Bronzors. I did defeat one though, and unknowns don't really drop anything too useful. Now you can see, yep, they're starting to spawn over here. Ooh, a Yamask. I don't think... No, I have fought one of these guys before. And a bunch of Golets. Ooh, this is the first Golurk that spawned. Interesting. Okay, that's really... That's a funny animation. I like how his legs disappear, but then they come back. So I was mostly just gathering resources. Let me take out this drift... Let me take out this Aeron right now, because they're really useful for dropping this soapstone along with skeleton skulls that I can use. Now, I forgot what Yamask drops, but I don't think I need that right now. And you probably also noticed that Stairway to Heaven that's over there that I also built, that extends all the way up to this layer over here, the Murk layer, which we can start getting these Pokemon once I build those platforms. What I was really interested in getting is leather for backpacks, because that's the only thing we're missing, and that would help me a lot with carrying stuff as I walk around building stuff. And what are you doing? Oh, I guess he has limited flight, so I think he tried to fly over to this platform, but now he's just going to fly into the void. Goodbye, friend. So really, our progression right now is mostly gated by just building more habitats for our Pokemon. Like, as you could see, if I'm not here, nothing really spawns, especially when I open the game back up for the first time. All the Pokemon have to start respawning again, even if they have the timers, so a lot of places just feel really dead. And the only way we can really fix that is adding more spawns and habitats for the rest of these guys to spawn. As I was saying for leather, right? As you can see, there's 31 pages of Pokemon that drop leather, but I don't actually know where these guys are going to spawn from, but I don't think it's too important at this point. When we have other stuff we need to finish, like the Smithy, so we can actually start making our Pokeballs. Now, I did run into a single Voltorb, which I think, yeah, there we go. Ancient Pokeball lid and the wooden base, which means I could make an ancient Pokeball, which is pretty cool. Pretty cheap, honestly. Just oak slabs to make the wooden base. It's just the top parts that's a little harder to get. But we should be able to get enough stone to make a furnace, because I realized you can actually turn hard stone into stone. And we have a piece right here. We have a couple pieces actually. So if I grab another piece of hard stone, which we should have all around the base here. Okay, so I finished checking all the chests. Looks like I only had 4 hard stones. These guys aren't super rare, as you can see. They have a 10% chance to drop from Roggenrollas, which I think is where I got most of them. And then these guys, Stone Journers, have a 50% to drop them. So these guys actually drop a lot of stone by comparison. So we're going to turn this into stone. So with that, we only need one more to make a furnace, and then we should be able to make an item into stone as said in the tips and tricks. I forget where it was though. There we go, andesite, I had some left over. Now if we mix this with basalt, you can actually turn this into scoria stone, and as said in tips and tricks, if we place this down, we can actually break it into scoria cobblestone, which we can use to make a furnace. And there we, oh, I need one more. I counted wrong. There we go, scoria cobblestone, and make a furnace. Done. I also realized that since Tinker's Construct is in the pack, I can make a crafting station to read into the nearest chest. But man, there has to be a better sorting solution at some point because these chests are all getting really full and they're a complete mess. Like I have just stuff sitting everywhere and it's so hard to find anything. Anyways, now that we have a furnace, we can finish off starting a smithy. And that leads into a smoker. The smoker is a variant of the furnace that specializes in cooking food. Why would I need one of these? It's the only way to produce smoked ham, should that ever become important. Furnace and logs. Why do I need this? I don't lose anything by making it, so I guess I might as well. But we're all out of stone at this point that we can use, so I'll just hold that off for later. But now that we have a furnace, we can actually make some love balls, because a love ball lid is only 3 cooked pink apricorns. So we could just harvest these and we're good to go. Now I should have some charcoal from here, perfect. And we can start cooking these up and make some love balls. Now let's see, what else do we need to make this? Oh, these take a silver base actually, coming from silver ingots. And I don't think we have any silver. Interesting. Well, that kind of puts a damper on things. What about heal balls? These take iron. Alright then. Well, that's a little annoying. So we can't actually make these into our heal balls yet because we don't have the bottom part. We can make a badge case though, which is interesting. Although we don't have enough black apricorns to do so. But where am I supposed to get silver ingots from? Now if I take a look, there might be some silver. Okay, we do actually have some silver nuggets. So there are some Pokemon that drop them. We're just going to need a way to smelt these down, because if you take a look, the only way to turn these into ingots is through melting. There's no other way to do so, which means we're going to have to make a Tinker's Construct Smeltery using scorched blocks. Using seared bricks. What's a scorched block? Oh, I was thinking of the high melter. So seared bricks take seared bricks, which take grout or a kiln using porcelain bricks, and this comes from unfired porcelain, which is clay and bone meal. So we're going to need a lot of that, but I think that's actually one of the easiest things we're going to be doing, because if we take our terracotta and any other terracotta in here, in fact I might actually have, yep, a bunch of clay available. We just need to mix this with our bone meal, and we should be able to get enough to make our scorched bricks. Yep, unfired porcelain. And, oh yeah, I forgot there was a quest for that. Unfired porcelain, brittle bones and bone meal, lava storage, porcelain cistern will not be damaged by hot liquids. We don't have any lava though. Okay, I get it. So we can build the floors and walls out of porcelain blocks, but then we have to turn the porcelain bricks into, oh that's rainbow. We have to turn these porcelain bricks in the kiln into seared bricks, and then use the seared bricks to actually make the other stuff. So that would be the casting table, the fuel gauge. Does the duck always look like that? Cobalt ingot. Seared chute. Ingot tank. Gotcha, okay, so to make the foundry controller, we have to already make a little one, so we can melt down a block of obsidian onto scorched bricks to make the controller itself. Now, how do I actually get this, though? Because if we don't have a foundry... Oh, then we just have to make a little seared smelter, the little one first, and then we can make the larger one. Luckily, this only takes 5 seared bricks, plus 4, so that's only 9 seared bricks to make that setup, and then we're good to go. Now then, we're also going to need some sand, so let's see what Pokemon drops sand. I believe I have a little bit of red sand, and I have sandstone, But if we take a look at sand, so these are the types of Pokemon that can drop it. As you can see here, on the most bottom layer, we're supposed to see Dunsparce, but I haven't seen any yet. Looks like Sandy Burmese also drops sand. What drops red sand? Red sand drops from crocodiles and this guy. Okay, so now it's a bit rarer, but I thought I already had this. And there's no way to make it otherwise until we get a crusher, which can crush down that sandstone. And now we can make some porcelain bricks to finish off that quest as well. Starting a smithy down here. I don't know what the feathers are used for, and that kind of ends the quest line here. Huh. Wonder why it ends there. But I guess this is really all we needed. Like, it tells you how to make the smeltery using the porcelain bricks, so that's the only thing stopping us is getting the glass to build a controller. Good to know. I just wonder, because I have a piece of red sand, but I don't remember where I got it, which is a little annoying. But we do have a lot of other resources, so I think at this point I just want to keep expanding the vertical Pokédex and building more habitats for our Pokemon. Alright, so Y112 is about the halfway point for this layer, so this is where I'm going to build the base platform, and we're going to start expanding the habitats off of it. Alright, now the first platform is finished. Now you can see I opened the host to LAN, because the only way I can actually check if it's working is if you enable cheats, and now we can see the possible spawns are right here. So we have Trubbish, Coughing, Grimer, Slugma, more Rotoms, Wheezing, Muck, and Garbodor. So if we take a look and compare it to this guy, I think it was this one, right? Trubbish, Coughing, Grimer, Alolan Grimer, yep, Man-Made, Face the Sun, and we're only going to get these basic Pokemon, along with Garbodor, Wheezing, Alolan Mux, Wash Rotom. Rotom Wash is attracted to washing machines. What? Interesting. Okay, so Wash Rotom can drop a washing machine. You can also craft a washing machine using aluminum ingots, glass pane, and a water bucket. Huh. Good to know. No spawns yet though, but the spawns are there, so it'll just take some time. Now the next one I want to do, which is also pretty easy, I'm trying to do the easiest habitats first, which I believe is this one. Underground. No, this is natural. So we need, there we go, Murk Indoors Basic, and that will get us Stuffle, Snubble, and Mimikyu, because I believe Snubble actually gets us some good drops, along with Charcadet, Granbull, Beware, Heat Rotom, and Fan Rotom. Oh, but these guys need special blocks to actually get them. That is funny though. I knew Rotom had many different forms. I didn't realize he had this many different forms just based off of random pieces of furniture. The only one I really knew about mainline was the Pokédex Rotom, but that's just because it was in the videos before. So anyways, to build this platform, it's pretty much the same thing. We just have to put a roof on it. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? I think we got really lucky, because it looks like the washing machine Rotom just spawned, and if we look at the check spawns, he should be 11%. Or I guess if you want him to spawn higher than 11%, you need a washing machine. So I want to see if we can actually get that, because he should drop some really good materials for us. Alright, let's see what we get out of this guy. We get a level up, always good. Redstone dust, 2 gems, copper wire, no washing machine though, pretty sad. But we do get our other spawns though, so Mux, Grimer, Coughing, and Trubbish. Let's see what these guys drop as well. Slime Balls, Slag, and Rich Slag. Rotten Flesh, Bones, Zinc, and Slime. Sulfur Dust and Smoke Balls. Interesting. What is a Smoke Ball? An item to be held by a Pokemon. It enables the holder to flee from any wild Pokemon encounter without fail. Huh, good to know. Can I defeat a Muck? Probably not. It's probably a little too strong for me. Ooh, another Rotom over there. Let's see if we can get the washing machine to drop. And still no washing machine. Oh well. But at least we can see that the spawns are working. I just need to finish this one with the roof. Now the roof is almost finished because these snowballs are starting to spawn, so if we check out the check spawns, it should be different from the one up here. So if we do a little comparison, you can see We've reduced wheezing down to a quarter percent, muck to a quarter percent, and now we have Mimikyu, Litwick, Snubbull, Stuffle, Granbull, and some of the other ones have reduced. So once the ceiling is fully covered, that should reduce all of these other spawns to 0 to only get the indoors Pokemon. Now let's see what a Snubbull drops. And Snubbulls drop Love Balls. Awesome. Okay, that's really nice. Snubbulls drop Love Balls. That means we can actually start capturing more Pokemon. So I'm going to have to finish out the roof here. That way we can get a lot more Snubbull spawns and get more Love Balls. Alright, so now the roof is fully enclosed. Now if we double check the spawns and compare it to this one right here, you can see we've taken out all of the open air spawns, and now all we have are the indoor spawns. So the one I really want to get is the Granbull and the Snubbull, because Snubbull is a 10% chance for Love Balls, but the Granbulls are 50% as I checked here. As you can see here, they pretty much have the same drops, except Granbull has a much higher percentage of them dropping. So this will be a good way to get a lot of Love Balls, so we can capture some more Pokemon. And that's it. Underground water and regular water, so facing the sky and no sky. And these ones should actually be really easy to develop because the only requirement for the water ones, the water spawns, is have any flowing water in an area. It doesn't have to be a full source, it can be flowing. Now what was this green guy I just saw? What are you? A Slugma. I'm not making the joke. Let's see what Slugma drops. Slugma gets us Blaze Powder and Magma Cream. Good to know. Not sure what we need this stuff for. Gate Pearls. More Gate Pearls. We can make Nether Grout. Interesting. And that seems to be about it. Not super useful, but everything will have its place in time. Now for the water area, we're just going to keep pushing out this way, and then we'll match it up side to side. So this will be open air, this will be underground. So we'll have the open air water on this side, underground water on that side. Alright, I have a legitimate question. Is this an actual Pokemon, or is this something they just made for the mod? Because this does not look like an official Pokemon. Or am I just that old now? Alright, so it seems like I've just been told that Charcadet is charcoal that came to life and became a Pokemon. So that's interesting. They're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for design ideas these days, I guess. Now, I can't be the only one thinking, if you saw this Pokemon in real life, you'd be a little afraid, right? Like, this thing is like 7 feet tall, 400 pounds of pure pain. Alright, enough jibber jabbering. The water area is done. So let's actually see if this is going to spawn water Pokemon. Mukro, Drifloon, Dustox, Beedrill, Venomoth, those don't look like water Pokemon at all. Why are those possible spawns? And those are all flying Pokemon, right? Let me place this so I can actually stand here. Flying type, flying... Well, Shedinjas, they're not flying types, but they do fly. Flies, also flies, flies. Why doesn't this count? Huh. Can't put my finger on it. Now, I did hear a bird while I was looking, so the flying Pokemon spawns are working. In fact, I think that's the one that flew off in that direction that I can see on the mini-map. But I don't understand why water Pokemon aren't going to spawn in here. Well, they're not really water Pokemon, they're just spawn in water. Wait, no, I realized this should work. And you know why I think it should work? Because if you look at our base down there, we had a single block of water that kept spawning those water Pokemon. So that should work. I don't see why it wouldn't. So what I want to check over here is if I sit in this water right here and do the check spawns. Spinarak. Frillish. Yeah, there's the water spawns here. Why don't I see any water spawns up there? That's so weird. Okay, so I'm actually just a little bit dumb, because when you look at the check spawns, the reason you're seeing all these flying Pokemon is because flying Pokemon can spawn over any valid spawning block. So because this whole area is open, to the sky, and water is a valid spawning block for other Pokemon, seems like only flying Pokemon are going to spawn here. Now that doesn't really resolve why those specific water Pokemon aren't spawning at all, which is odd, because they're not even showing up in the possible spawns, so I might have to investigate that further in my creative world to see how to get them to spawn, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. Because I'm getting these spawns down there, and you saw the check spawns as well. They do. The water is valid for spawning the water Pokemon, just not this one for some reason. Now, it could be just a bug with this layer, or maybe I'm just doing it wrong, so I'm going to have to plan it out a little bit more. Maybe there's something I have to do with the design to get them to spawn. But at least we don't need them too much right now, I don't think. I'm not actually sure what they drop. Because it does mention something about a preference for the water surface or floor, but nothing about this, just... And now, after a little bit more work, and all of my terracotta and dirt, we have 2 more habitats. One for whatever these guys are, the outside normal Pokemon. So that one, they have to spawn on dirt, stone, cobblestone, terracotta, that kind of stuff. And the ones over here only need leaves. So the leaves ones are actually super easy to get done, because it's just leaves. As you can see, it works really well. I do need to add these little slabs so I can actually walk up there, but it's working out pretty well. And we're getting more of the spawns. Now the only ones I'm going to have to wait on is the underground variant of this one, because I'm all out of, well, everything. Like terracotta, this is all my terracotta and all my dirt. So I'm going to have to farm more of that to make the underground variant over here. And I think, what else are we missing? This is the underground variant. We have this one. The water's iffy. We have the Merc outside. We have the Merc man-made. Technically, we have Merc flying. I have seen them spawn. We have Merc treetops, and we still don't have enough sand to make the beach or the desert. The beach and desert ones are probably going to take the longest, but they do seem to have overlap on most of the Pokemon spawns, so it shouldn't matter too much. But we'll be able to start getting these drops as well, and hopefully that's all going to be useful for us in the future. Because now we can start farming this stuff. One thing I noticed is that higher tier Pokemon, you know, like higher evolutions, tend to drop more of the same material than their smaller counterparts. So you can see there's some of the Murkrows flying around up there, but as you can see, they just fly directly into the void. So if I want to get any flying Pokemon, I'm going to have to build an enclosure to actually capture them. But we'll have to do that later, because I noticed in the smithing tab, once we made the porcelain, it actually moved up here. So it might actually have done, like it points down, but now it's going to point to the right. And that should let us work on the seared heater and the melter. Okay, so I did the smithing, and that seems to have started a new evil forces. So I think we're going to get attacked by like zombies this time. Oh yep, there's a new one, second invasion. Something bad is coming, and it looks like they're husks. So it shouldn't be too bad. We have our terracotta armor, so we should be strong enough to fight this. It is going to be a little annoying, though. Alright, looks like they're about to spawn in a couple seconds here. Luckily, it's only 5 zombies by the looks of it, 5 husks, so that's really easy. And we only have to defeat 3 of them to actually finish this. Yeah, see, I barely had to move. Now, where's the last one? Oh, there he is. He got stuck. Easy enough. Now, let's see. How do I disable this guy? What? There we go. Put the armor back on. Oh, these are really good. 16 pieces of sandstone, music discs. Don't really do anything for me. Aquamarine shale, not sure what that's for. A bunch of other stuff. Now, how do you disable this? So it seems like if you want to stop the second invasion, I'm gonna have to make a full set of construct armor from Tinker's Construct, or it might actually be done. I'm not actually sure. Well, I guess I'm building a beach right here because we need sand to progress, and that's the only thing I can think of to keep progression moving. And there we go. Our legally distinct beach. Has water, has sand. The sand meets the water. Legally speaking, this is a beach. So let's see if this actually counts for our sandy gas. And I'm not seeing sandy ghast here. Oh, there they are. Sandy ghast, 4.54%. We do get more surskit, frillish, and other stuff though, which I don't want. We want mostly our beach Pokemon, which is, excuse me, how do you pronounce this? Pyukumuku. Sandy Burmy and Sandy Ghast. Burmy will only spawn if it's not raining. Beach habitats are made of some type of sand and have a water block nearby. It does say a water block, so I could probably reduce the other spawns if I reduce all of the flowing water and just reduce it to a single water block. Alright, so now if we check the difference in spawns, Sandy Ghast is now 11.64, whereas before it was 4.54, so that's a lot better. Why is Shedinja here though? As you could see, we're sharing a lot of spawns, which isn't the best, but I think it's because we're using soul sand, and the soul sand counts as a positive spawn for a lot of different Pokemon. But you can see Sandy Ghast, Burmy, and Pyukumuku are all here, and that's what we want. So they all should drop some sand. We just gotta wait for them to actually show up. And then once they do show up, we should be able to get more sand to increase the spawns even further. So I am a little confused because this is saying that the seared heater requires seared bricks and a piece of glass. But if you look at the seared heater, it only takes seared bricks. So I can actually make that, because I cooked up our bricks right here. So we can make the heater and finish that quest. And I'm not sure what the shards are for, but I will take flame charge. That's cool. But to make the melter, you need an ingot gauge or a fuel gauge. And both of them take 5 pieces of glass. Now, I have not gotten lucky with the spawns yet. Cacneas, what do you guys drop? Cacneas drop cactus, cactus ball, and oka berry. Okay, interesting, not what I needed. So what we'll have to do is sacrifice some of our soul sand to make soul glass, which is something I was not aware of until a couple minutes ago. So I think we're just gonna need 5 of these guys, because I can farm soul sand from some other Pokemon that we already have access to. So let's go ahead and melt this into our soul glass. And then we're still gonna need 5 seared bricks here plus 4 here. So another 9 of these seared bricks, which means I'm gonna need some more bone meal. Alright, so we should be able to make our thingamabob here, 5 pieces of glass to make the fuel gauge. Now we just need 5 seared bricks, which we can make like so. And now that we have 5 seared bricks, we can combine that to make our seared melter. Now we are still going to need a couple more items, and we'll just place this, place it over here. That works. I'll eventually cordon this area off, but now we have the melter ready to go. Gives us some more shards, some soul sand, because now we need the casting table. Time to watch a tutorial video. Luckily, I already know how to use Tinker's Construct. Thank you very much. But this is going to take some more seared bricks. Luckily, we have enough bones to make bone meal plus clay to pretty much craft everything we need, because we're just going to need the casting table and then the little guy. And now we can make our casting table. Bam! Seared casting table done. Now we can just put this guy over here. Wait, new time request. I don't like the sound of that. And we gotta try some more feathers. That's cool. Your first cast, coagulated blood. Composite material. Interesting stuff. We do have a lot of coagulated blood. Scary stuff. Now what did we unlock over here? We can build a PC. You can of course use offerings to Arceus to access the PC network, but it would really be nice to have a less spiritual solution. There are 2 ways. Build one, for which you'll need to loot a grand total of 6 ingots of aluminum, as well as redstone and glowstone, and you'll need an engineering setup to make the circuit board. The second is to fight Porygon and see if in fighting them you can convince any of them to turn into a PC and help you out. Uncolored white PC. So we can either craft it from 6 pieces of aluminum, a redstone engineering block, a circuit backplane, and a glass pane, or we can get it from Porygon. Where do we get Porygon from? I've seen Porygon 2 around here, but I have not seen a different one. What are you? You are disgusting looking. I'm getting rid of you right now. Ugh, disgusting. It reminds me of... That Pokemon reminds me of... In Subnautica, there's a similar looking creature that you encounter deep underwater that has an EMP attack that I also don't like the look of. And now we can grab this seared brick, and then we can turn it into one of these guys to make a seared faucet. Then we should be able to put the faucet right here, and now we can melt down all of those little pieces of... And now with the seared smelter, we can melt down all those little nuggets into usable forms. Now, I was reading the quest book here, and if you take a look at types of forage, you can use smelt... Oh wait, that's not the right thing. If we have a Pokemon that knows Ember, Incinerate, Inferno, or Burn Up, they can power a furnace. I'm not actually sure if they'll work on the Tinker's Construct though, because this isn't a furnace. Guess we'll find out later though. Now I want to see, where do we encounter Porygon? Okay, so I did find it. It looks like it must be a typo in the quest book, because the one we can loot from the Porygon 2 and the regular Porygon is the black PCs and not the white ones. Now we have seen Porygon 2s before spawn, so it shouldn't be that difficult, but it is a 10% chance. So that means if I fight 10 of them, we should expect to get at least one. Now if we take a look over here, this is where I usually see them spawn. Check spawns. Looks like Porygon is a 5% chance, so it's actually not bad. That's a 1 in 20, and we need to do a 1 in 10, so the odds are actually on our side, which is pretty good. Now then there's also the engineer's workbench, now that you can pour iron ingots. Now it wants us to make a stone cutter first, that's also pretty good, and the engineer's workbench, which will take treated wood. How are we going to get treated wood in this pack? Treated wood planks, treated wood, from creosote. Okay, how do you get creosote in this pack? From the coke oven. And coke bricks is sandstone, bricks, and clay. Okay, so that's a pretty standard craft. So if you want to make the engineer's workbench, this is pretty standard for immersive engineering. We're just going to have to make a coke oven so we can make creosote, and then use that creosote to make treated planks, and so on and so forth. So actually pretty standard craft there. Blood cake. This looks disgusting. Gives you regen. Or is that just a thing I get when I eat food? I'm not actually sure. Oh, but that doesn't actually help with the food at all. Huh, interesting. So it doesn't help with food, but it gives you regen. Pretty useful for fighting stuff then. Now I did completely forget about the farming thing, so we can actually finish that off now that we have our beetroots by making a bowl, combining that bowl with our beetroot, and that's not how you do it. How do I make beetroot stew? Does it have to be exactly by what it looks like? Beetroot soup. Like this. You could also make it in a cauldron. Not sure. I've never made anything in a cauldron like that. Bowl. Beetroots. Beetroot soup. Quest completed. Spice of life. Cooked chicken. Duranberry. And payday. Isn't that the one that gives you money? Or am I thinking of a different one? Anyways, that gets us to animal husbandry. And that's opened up a lot more. Interesting. Now it wants us to make a fishing rod to get fish. 10% of the time you'll hook a Pokemon. Good to know. So this is all showing where you can get specific drops from Pokemon. Like if you want Ender Pearls, Psychic Pokemon tend to drop them. They can be found all the way up in the Murk lair or the Dazzle lair, all the way up to the Outer Space lair. And then you get a couple of interesting items. Not sure why we would need an end portal frame, but that's interesting to see. And then going down here, we get the cooking pot, organic compost. Why are there two different cooking pots? Oh, one's a Pixelmon cooking pot, I see. And then if we continue down this way for rare crops... Oh, I can actually just click this. Oh, this is actually... Yeah, this is quite big. Rice, cabbage, potato, coarse fruit, apples. All of the Pokemon berries. We already found tomatoes, so now we can just grow some more. And then at the bottom, there's cocoa beans into defeat Annihilate. Interesting. And then some of these we can complete right now. Like the cactus, it's funny. It says, You see no way of attaining a cactus, but we actually fought the cactus Pokemon, so we actually have a piece of cactus already. And if you're wondering where to get tomato, I think I put my fishing rod right here, and all I did was go fishing in this little block of water, and you get a rotten tomato that you can use to make tomato seeds. So that was actually pretty easy. So now we're making pretty good progress. We've opened up a lot more of these quest trees. We can now process all of the little nuggets of ores that we've been getting, although we're going to need a better way to farm trees for wood and charcoal, because it's a really manual task right now, and we're going to need more building materials to keep building these habitats. Now, there's still a couple of items we need to get en masse. We need more dirt, we need more sand, we need other building materials for other... If we take a look at the vertical Pokédex, the only ones we've really been skipping out on is the beach and the desert Pokemon, because we haven't been able to get enough sand for that. But in the future, we should be able to, now that we can harvest more soul sand. And we just have to keep going up higher and higher to the different layers. Now that we finished the Murk layer, mostly, we can start doing the Dazzle layer, and then that only leaves 4 layers to go. Now I'm hoping we don't get attacked further, but I think we're good for now. The only invasion I'm worried about is I believe the 3rd invasion is the most dangerous, and I'll actually need to build a arena to fight that in, because it involves, I think, creepers. But other than that, I think we're doing pretty well. So we also finished more of our tips and tricks, so I think we're good to just keep moving on. This is a bit more advanced, we're going to have to save that for later, but we're going to be able to use our first piece of iron for the stone cutter, which has a lot of really useful applications. As you can see, it has 118 recipes. We're not looking at those. The one specifically is turning our tumblestones into the refined versions, the raw into the normal versions, because we can use that for other things. Not quite sure what we can use them for. Oh, these are for making different Pokeballs. Interesting. Oh, and now that we can smelt, I think we can actually start making love balls. Because if we take a look, a love ball takes a silver base. We can make silver ingots now. Nice. So now that we can smelt our ingots, we can start making Pokeballs and actually capturing some of the Pokemon that have been spawning around us to really open up our repertoire. But anyways, now I think we've made really good progress. We're at the point where we're going to start making Pokeballs so we can actually capture a lot of the Pokemon we're seeing and really fill out the Pokédex. We're going to continue upwards and build more Pokemon habitats to get all the rest to spawn. And we're going to be able to start finishing out some of the major chapters of our quest book, which I think is phenomenal. But as always, I'm your host, Hamas28, and I'll see you guys next time.